Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Good evening, everyone. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. So today's program is called Excel with these Excel clips. So you join us and learn more powerful tricks and formulas to transcribe on your Excel. So our speaker for today is Sandra Leshman. So she has more than 25 years experience in the IT training and consultancy industry, with work exposure from both private and public sectors. So, she's a certified trainer, curriculum developer, and assessor with the WSQ Advanced Certificate in Training and Assessment, ACTA, and WSQ Diploma in Adult and Continuing Education, DACE, awarded by the SSG. So Sandra has vast experience in training various learners from a diverse group and courseware development and customized training solutions. So she is passionate in training and always receives excellent feedback from trainees for sharing her wealth of knowledge. So without further ado, Sandra, once you're ready, the floor is yours.
Right, thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Excel with this Excel tips webinar. I'm Sandra, your facilitator for the session today. Right. So we're going to be looking at three main parts of Excel now. Right. We'll be concentrating on some shortcuts and efficiency tool that can help you work a little bit faster. When you deal with data in Excel, for example, you keep employee lists or product lists, transaction lists, what are the tools that you can use to manage them, right? And also some formatting to highlight critical data, especially for those who are monitoring the values in Excel. And then we're going to look at a couple of formulas and functions that are frequently used in Excel, right? Okay. Now, throughout the session, if you do have any question, anything to clarify, please share it in the chat area. I think if everyone turned on and started talking, it might be a bit disruptive. So address your question to everyone in the meeting so everyone knows what's going on. If I'm able to answer immediately, I will do so. Otherwise, I will address the question towards the end of our session. Whatever slide that I'm showing you at the end of the session, we will share a link and download these slides. Okay. Right. So under the shortcuts and efficiency, we're going to look at this few shortcuts. For anyone who is a regular Excel user, you may be quite familiar with them. Just take it as a quick refresher. You may discover new ways of doing things in Excel. Okay. The first two shortcuts, basically when you're dealing with a list, then we look at the shortcut to have multiple lines in a cell, followed by a feature data to illustrate this. Yes, the slides will be shared. There will be a link provided for you to download the slides later. Okay. If you look at this example here, all right, I have a very simple data set showing month of sale, who was the salesperson in charge, whether they are new client, existing client, amount, and whether the client has paid or not. Now in Excel, if I want to highlight a certain range quickly, okay, normally we can select the cell and do a drag to highlight. But what if it's a very large data set? You want to highlight something quickly. You can just do it this way. Select any cell, and then you can press Ctrl+A. Ctrl+A basically means select current range now. So imagine if I have hundreds and thousands of records, I want to quickly select, we can do it from here now. Even if the cell is blank, for example, under the paid column here, when a client has not made payment, they decided to leave the cell blank. Okay, I'm on a blank cell. When I press Ctrl+A, the surrounding range is still selected. Okay. So that is the first shortcut. To select current area, you can press Ctrl+A. However, if you are on a blank cell, surrounded by blank cell, no data, Ctrl+A will select the entire worksheet for us. So with data, current range, sorry. Without any data surrounding the cell, the entire worksheet. Okay. Now, when people deal with a list like this, one of their common tasks is to search for records. And let's say now I'm told that, okay, maybe my manager or a peer needs all the new clients who were signed up in the month of January. Okay, to get this records quickly, we can use the feature called filter. Okay. To activate filter, we simply select any cell within our data area, and you can press Ctrl+Shift+L. You notice when I press Ctrl+Shift+L, every header gets the filter drop down. This is on the assumption that the first row of your data are the column labels. Okay, in Excel, that is the basic assumption. So now I can simply go to maybe type, and then I select new clients. And then under month, I select January. So a quick way to turn on filters. So this data, maybe you need to copy or you need to put it elsewhere and so on. Right? When you're done, to get back all your data, you can press the same shortcut, Ctrl+Shift+L, which will remove the filter and also show you back all the different data. Okay. Okay. Now, the next shortcut that we're going to see is sometimes when you are working with, let's say, headers or labels for your data, you may want to display them in multiple cells. Okay. Maybe for aesthetic purpose, right? And then let's say for printing, you want to fit more things per line and things like that. Now, a typical effect is, let me make a copy of this heading. I'll just put it in another cell. Okay. A typical method used to have multiple lines within the same cell is under Home tab in our alignment group, there is this command called wrap text. Okay. And then based on your column width, the text will wrap into multiple lines. So for example, I can adjust the width to make it into a 2-line, right? Or reduce and so on. Okay. But you notice as I make adjustment, the line keep changing the number of text that can be fitted. Okay. If I need my line to be permanently multi-line, regardless of how wide a column is, we can use the shortcut Alt+Enter. Okay. So I'm going to go to this copy title. I double click to edit it. And then place the cursor where I want to break the line. I'm going to put it after the word quarter. And we press Alt+Enter. No, sorry, wrong position. All right. Alt+Enter. Okay. Now, see the difference between the command wrap text from the Home tab and this Alt+Enter. I'm going to resize both columns. Okay. You see, as I keep on resizing, The alternate enter, the line break remains fixed wherever I have inserted it. Whereas the formatting wrap tags, they will only go to the next line when there's no enough space. So this line break, we call it fixed. This is dynamic. It works based on the column width. So if you want something that's permanent, you don't want it to change, can use alternate enter. Okay. Let me just answer a quick question. One more shortcut that we're going to look at in Excel, they have this feature called table. Okay. We equate table to something arranged in columns and rows and so on. But in Excel, table is a special formatting to manage your list. Okay, I have a few remarks on some of you cannot see my Excel screen. Okay, let me stop sharing and I share one more time. Sometimes due to the refresh rate. Okay. So coming to this feature called table, to convert a regular list like this into the table formatting, again, we simply click any cell in the list and we can use the command Ctrl+T, T for table. So it will automatically highlight our data, all the continuous range of rows and columns. And there is a prompt whether we have headers. In this example, we do, so we click OK. So table comes with this preset formatting now. Filters are automatically added, right? And you can see this alternate row color. They say that having alternate row color makes it easier for you to identify records and so on. And when you're scrolling down, as long as you're inside the table headers will always be visible. It's like a freezing effect now, okay? But if you click outside the table, you go back to regular column label ABCs, okay? While we are inside the table row, table column names are always visible, okay? There are more features to a table now comparing to leaving it as a normal cell, okay? So if you explore on table, you'll find it quite useful when you're managing long lists like this, okay? Okay, so out of the many shortcuts available in Excel, we have looked at this four. Ctrl+A to select the current range quickly, right? You want to do quick search based on specific column value. You can turn on your filters, Ctrl+Shift+L, make your selection from the drop down. Right? When you're done, press the same shortcut key to remove the filter to get back all the records. And then when you want to have multiple lines in one cell, we can use the feature alternate enter, right? Click where you want to break your line and then press alternate enter. And Ctrl+T is to convert a normal range into a table. This is typically used to manage long lists. Now we're going to look at some shortcut techniques used to move around your file. Then when you're working with a very big file and then so on, you want to quickly move to a specific row, beginning, ending, and so on, we can make use of these shortcut keys. Again, I'm going to use my file to demo that. Okay. So let's say I'm managing this list, and every time some new data comes in, I need to go down to the last part and then I need to enter the new data. Okay. Whenever you want to move to the edge of your data, okay, that means to the top, to the bottom, extreme left or extreme right, you can do that. I'm randomly clicking a cell in my list over here. I want to go to the last row. We can press Ctrl and down arrow key. It goes down to the last row now. Opposite is Ctrl up to go to the first row. And let's say you have like 30, 40 columns on a particular record. You want to go to the last column or the first row, then you use your Ctrl right to go to the last column, Ctrl left to go to the first column. We basically say that we are moving to the edge of our data. Okay? So imagine if now I'm here, right? I need to go down to the last row to add a new record. I would simply press Ctrl down. Okay. If you need to go to the very beginning of your worksheet, A1, you can use Ctrl Home. Right? Will bring you to the first cell. No matter where you are in your file, and quickly go to the beginning, Ctrl Home. Opposite is Ctrl N, END. It will go to the last used cell in your worksheet. So Control Home and Control N is to go to a specific, first cell, A1, or the last cell used in your worksheet. Now, what if I need to go to a very specific cell? Let's say, for example, I have some calculation in column E, row 250. I don't think people will memorize cell addresses like this. But if you need to go to a very specific cell, you can press Ctrl G. We call it go to. Type the cell address. I'm going to put in, let's say, E250. And simply press Enter or click OK. Then it will navigate to that cell for us. Ctrl G is to go to a specific cell. If you remember the cell address exactly now. Right? So the next shortcut that we're going to look at is when you have multiple worksheets in a file and you want to toggle between them one by one. Typically, we can use the navigation tabs at the bottom left, or you can combine your control with page up and page down. Okay. So control page down is to go to the next worksheet. Control page up is to go to the previous worksheet. Shortcuts are optional. You don't feel compelled that, oh, I must learn every shortcut. Pick those that you find very useful, right? Something that you will use frequently, right? Or if you prefer doing things, using menus and command because you are comfortable with it, by all means, go ahead. Okay. So those were some of the navigation shortcuts. Okay, I hope we are doing okay so far. If there's anything you want to clarify, just share the question on the chat area regarding the topic that I've covered so far. I will address them. Okay. Now, for the next part of our session, we are going to look at some techniques used to do data entry. When we use Excel to enter data, whatever type of data you are doing now, we're going to look at techniques that will speed up this process, especially when you type something that is the same items frequently, or your item has specific pattern, specific list, right? We're going to use this feature. The first feature is called autofill. Basically means automatically fill up the values for us. Right? When you enter month and day names in Excel, whether they are entered in abbreviations like this or the names are spelled in full, Excel can automatically fill up the next value for us. Maybe I'm doing a monthly statement report or a schedule and so on. Oh, okay. Shortcuts between Excel Windows and Excel Mac differs, all right? If you go online and you search under Excel Mac shortcuts, right? There are plenty of pages that gives you a comparison, okay? So you can refer them now, right? So I was talking about month and day labels. Here I've entered November in abbreviation. So if you select the cell and you use your fill handle, you can drag down up to whichever row you want, all right? And when you release, the days or month names are filled in automatically for us. So they recognize, right, fully spelled or abbreviated format for both day and month names. And normally when you drag beyond the list, like for example, Monday after Sunday, it will simply restart the list. Now, this technique can also be used if I'm creating a running serial number. Let's say, for example, here I have item 1. Again, if you see using my fill handle, when you drag down, it will automatically increase the number at the end. Okay. Even if the numbers has a leading 0 like this, right? When you use the fill handle and you drag down, you can see the number portion increasing automatically. Let me drag it down a bit further. Here you can see something like an invoicing numbering. The prefix is INV colon 2024 dash, and then they start with the number 100. So using the fill handle, when I drag down, get the last part of the number increase. It's basically any text ending with a number. When you use your fill handle and you drag, the number will automatically increase. Okay. What if you don't want the number to increase? Sometimes maybe you are entering multiple data for that particular number. For example, the first invoice. When we use our fill handle and drag down, by default, they are in what we call fill series. You can see a small icon appearing at the bottom. That's called autofill option. You can switch to copy cell. Okay. Same thing, let's say your default was set to copy, all right? You want it to be incremental. Immediately after dragging with the fill handle, switch to fill series. So you can toggle between these two settings. Fill handle is when you click on the cell, you see there's a border around the cell, right? Go to the bottom right corner. There's like a small square there. When you point to it, you will see the black cross, or the proper name is fill handle. You use it to copy formulas or to create lists like this. Okay. You select the cell, go to the bottom right corner of the cell. Okay. That's where you will see the fill handle. Now, let's say maybe I'm doing like a schedule or planner. I need a list of dates. I'm going to add on an extra shortcut. Let's say in H4 here, I want to enter current date. Instead of typing 25 November and so on, you can use this shortcut Ctrl semicolon. You see, current date is immediately stamped into the cell. One extra shortcut. So now when I use my fill handle and I drag down, Excel will automatically give me the next data, okay? And if you look at the autofill option, right, using that, I can toggle between fill month. That means it's going to be 25th of each month, right? And then followed by fill years. Maybe I'm doing a 10-year forecast as of 25th November of each year. You can see the year part is changing, right? So we can toggle between series. Series and days are the same. The date will change. And then month, right? Only the month portion changes, followed by year. They also have this feature called weekdays. This will automatically skip Saturdays and Sundays. You can see here, I don't have 30th and 1st of December. Okay, Saturdays and Sundays. They cannot detect public holidays, only Saturdays and Sundays. For those who are asking about the recording of the session, the slides, and the sample file, at the end of our session, we will tell you where you can get hold of them. Okay, so this is autofill. Now, the next data entry technique that we're going to look at is called flash fill. Nowadays, we talk about AI tools helping us to speed up our work and so on. This is flash fill can be considered one of the earliest AI tool introduced in Excel, right? Where they predict what we are trying to do, okay? The algorithm, the app behind will try to work out now, right? So when you enter some type of data, they will try to replicate it for the rest of the rows. Okay? So it works like this. Let's say here I have some data that has been combined for whatever reason, the names of the participant followed by the country of origin. So my task is I need to extract the country out from each of the participants. There are formulas that you can use and then to do this. But without formula, this is how we go about doing it. Okay. You start by entering a sample of the data. So for the first record, Eddie Andrews, Australia, I type in Australia, all right? And then using the fill handle, I drag down. And on the autofill option, we can toggle to flash fill. Can you see that? So what Excel does on the background, okay, it says that I have extracted everything after the space. So they replicate the effect to the rest of the cells. Okay. This command is also available under the data tab. In data tools, you have flash fill also. Okay. Another example. Okay. Row 14. I have a list of addresses. I need to extract the postal code or the zip code, which is the numeric portion. So here I'm going to type the first sample, 3051. Using the fill handle, drag down and switch to flash fill. So here, what are they looking at? That I'm extracting the data based on the type, numeric data versus non-numeric data. Okay. So that's one use of flash fill, to extract certain data out. Now, sometimes a single example may not do the trick. You may have to type 1 or 2 lines for Excel to see your pattern. So let's say even if you switch to flash fill, you don't see it working, try giving 1 or 2 more examples. Or you mean over here? No, you won't. Okay, it might not work now. You might have to, there's a question from Anne. Say if I manually remove Australia and I drag down, right? Okay. Will it do the same for the rest or not? Okay. Flash fill can work for many types of data as long the data has some pattern that can be predicted. For example, here, the country is separated with a space. Here, my data, I can separate them based on number and text. So there must be a pattern, okay? You can't enter the commas automatically to standardize. I would have to use formulas to do that if I think that certain data doesn't have comma. Like I said, this works best when your data is consistent, all right, and the pattern can be easily detected. Anything beyond that, we have to make use of formulas, right? Now, flash fill can also be used to combine data. Okay, let's say this is supposed to be the last line of the address. I need to combine them in such a way that it will be city, comma, in space, the postal, in brackets, I will have the postal code, okay? So I'm going to do the first example of how I want my address to be. I type the name of the city, comma, space, the country, another space, and I want the postal code to be in brackets. Okay. And then again, using the fill handle, I drag down, switch to flash fill. Okay. So again, they look at what you have done on the first line, right? And they try to replicate them. And whatever column that you are creating, whether you're extracting or you're combining, that column must be immediately next to the data. It can be the first column, in between, or last column. But you cannot do this like you want to leave a column blank in between. Okay, for flash fill to work, the column must be immediately next to the data or in between the data. I show you another example. I want to combine the first name and last name together, but I want the last name to stand out. I want it to be in capital, okay? So let's say I type the first example, Eddie, and then Andrews in caps. Fill down and flash. So they can also do case changes, to do in between. Okay, what I mean by in between is, let's say this address column just now was created right at the end, right? It can also be created in between. It doesn't have to be specifically last column now. I can do it here. But it must be near to the existing data now, right? So I can do the combining over here. Fill handle, flash fill. Okay. So the column, the new column that you're trying to create can be at the beginning, in between, or at the end, but cannot be separated, okay? You know, nowadays when we display NRIC, all these NRIC numbers were randomly generated. So if there's any resemblance to existing NRIC, not intentional. Okay. So let's say I need to censor the first 4 digits. Okay. So I do a sample, right? Let's say I want to replace it with X, and then the last 4 characters. Again, with the fill handle, drag down, flash fill. Back. Because you have to look at your own data now. You have to look at your own data, right? If there's a fixed pattern like this, flash fill will work. For more complex data, like just now we asked, what if there's no comma and so on? That means the original data is not consistent. We have to resort for formulas. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess in this case, right, since the last letter is all H, I'm going to do another example. Okay. So I've done 2 examples here, right? Select both of them, drag with the fill handle and flash fill. Okay. So if you see within the one example, if it doesn't work, try to give it another 1 or 2 examples, right? Okay, so that's flash fill. The next feature that we're going to look at is conditional formatting, right? If you want to, let's say you're monitoring values and you want to be alerted when the value changes, reaches a target, and so on. Okay. In Excel, we have 5 types of conditional formatting. You can find them under the Home tab, under conditional formatting, right? But we're going to look at 2 of them due to our time constraint, right? Highlight cells rule is when you're comparing against a specific value or you want to look at duplicate. If you're doing ranking, then you can use top-bottom rules. If you want to see the spread of data from high, mid, and low ranges, can use the other 3 now. Data bar, color scale, and icon set. Okay, let's say here we have some traffic statistic. Again, this is dummy data. Right? Don't be alarmed by the numbers, right? Let's say in column B, we shows the number of vehicles on the road. I want to see the 3 highest number. Normally, we will sort our data in, let's say, descending. So the first 3 is the highest. Or you sort ascending, the bottom 3 is the highest. Without sorting, how do you find the 3 highest value? So I'm going to highlight the values. Under Home tab, conditional formatting, top, bottom rules. So based on top or bottom value, so high or low values, I'm going to be specific rank. So I select top 10 item. And I'm going to change it to 3. You can see immediately the 3 highest value are selected. You can choose what kind of formatting you want to do to it, right? Normally, we have this sentiment colors, alarming values, bad values, we tend to use red. Good value, positive ones, we use green. In between, we use yellow, the traffic light color scheme. So you can select one of them here, or you can go to custom format and apply your own. Okay, I'm gonna, let's say, go for yellow fill. I click OK. If I added the data, any changes, right, the conditional formatting will automatically adjust. For example, let's say I change B7 to 199. Now, when I press enter, you can see this value at row 17. It is no longer part of the top 3, but my new edited value is top 3. Let's say if you're monitoring values, changes, conditional formatting is good. I'm going to do one more. All right. In column D shows the number of accidents. I want to show my data in terms of high, mid, or low values. So I'm going to select. Under Home, Conditional Formatting, I go for icons. Icon is one of the popular one, right? To have a visual, graphical view of our data. Let's say I'm going to use these basic arrows, right? So the moment I apply, you can see all my high values are having an arrow, right? And mid-range values have the right arrow, and low values have the down arrow. Okay. Maybe in this case, the color may not be very suitable, but it shows whether it's on the high side, low side, or mid-range. Okay. That is on conditional formatting. Okay, the next feature that we're going to look at is called data validation. The quality of data, it all depends on how the data was acquired in the first place. So if you are getting, let's say, your colleagues, peers, or team members to enter data for you, right? To make sure they enter within the correct range, we can use this feature called data validation. So it's found under the data tab. You can validate for numbers, date, you can do a drop-down list and so on. Okay. Yes, if you want to compare based on a specific value, for example, greater than 100K or between 50 to 10K, under conditional formatting, can use the highlight cells rule feature. Right? They have all the comparisons there. Okay. So let's look at this data validation. I'm going to select this range where I'm supposed to enter age. And let's say can enter age within a specific range, maybe, for example, from 18 to 65. Right? So under the data tab in the data tools group, we have data validation. So first you can choose the type of data. So it can be numerical value, integer, or numbers with decimal, can do drop-down lists, and so on and so forth here. So I'm going to make it a whole number. And the data has all the comparison range that you can choose, followed by what is the minimum and maximum if you choose between. So I'm going to go for 18 to 65. And we can create a customized error message under error alert. When someone enters the wrong type of data or out of range, what is the message that you want to give? So under title, let's say I put the invalid age. And a meaningful error message. Put the enter age from 18 to 65 old. Error message must be meaningful. Some people, they write error message, it's more confusing than the error, right? Supposed to help the user. Okay. So now if I select a cell, let's say I type an age within the range, no problem. But if I type out of range, okay, above 65, I get my own custom message. Let's say I put below 18, same thing. If I type a number within the range but contains decimal, it doesn't accept because I chose whole number as the type. Okay. And of course, if you type non-numerical value, also not accepted. Right? Oh, sorry. Let's say for the age column, yeah, I don't want anyone to type any date in the future. Okay. So under data validation, the settings allow, I choose date, so can enter date only. I don't want anyone to enter any date in the future. So the data can be less than or equal to. Okay. You can enter a specific date. For example, these are all last year record. So I can put 31st December 2024. But if I want the date to be dynamic, every day I open the file, can enter up to current date. We use equal today, open, close bracket. Okay. Equal today, open, close bracket. This is a function, a formula. That means it will automatically update every day now. So entering any date in the past, no issue. Entering today's date, no issue. But anything above today's date, I will get my error. So this is the default error message. So you can always do your own customized error. Oh, okay. We have very limited time. So if I want to show you like picking from calendar, that is done. You can look under form feature in Excel. You can look it up. Insert calendar form to pick the date. Okay. Because we still have some formulas to cover after this. Sorry about that. Okay, for the gender column, I want them to enter, let's say, male, female, others, okay? Sometimes you might think, why this simple data we need to control? So when I'm doing sorting, or let's say when I'm searching for record, it'll be easier. So here, under data validation, I'm going to use list, okay? In the source box, if your list is very short, like here gender, or maybe you want to have yes or no, simple one, you can simply type the item, separating each with a comma. Show that a little bit larger. So it's entered in this way now. What you want to show in your drop down, separate each with a comma. The data is set to list. So now, whenever someone clicks that range, they can still type what they want, right? Here, they type, the drop-down list appears. They can also select the drop-down and assign the values accordingly, right? So if they type something that is not in the list, then they will get the error message, which you could customize, saying that select the option in the drop-down list provided, something like that. Now, for a short list like this, we could type out, if your list is longer, right, and you have multiple items, like for example, in column G here, I want them to enter a country, and I need the country to be one of the countries in column K, right? So when we do data validation under the list, okay, for the source, you should have prepared the list somewhere in your file. You simply highlight it. Now, when I click OK, my drop-down list will pull the names from the list. The list can be in the same worksheet or different worksheet, doesn't matter. Right? And if I ever change any of the country names here, right? Let's say Brazil, I change to Belgium, my drop-down list will automatically update. Okay, I can see that. Examples of some of this is provided in the slide. Right, so later on, I mean, once you get see how we do a number validation, the way you set up the error message, a date validation using the reference to current date is all mentioned there. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next part, which is on popular formulas in Excel. Starting with one of the most frequently used formula, your summation. Okay? We use sum to sum up a series of numbers, okay? Now, whenever the answer for your summation is immediately after your data, for example, here, I want to total up every column here, right? You highlight either all the cells up to where you want the answer to be, or you can, sorry. Okay, there's a question on how to repeat to do the source. I'll just show that quickly. You select where you want the drop down to be. Under the data validation, allow must set to list. And then for the source, if you have prepared the source somewhere in your file, you go and highlight it. Okay. Otherwise, like I say, if like gender, a simple one, yes or no, you can type it directly in the source box. Okay. Now, coming to this auto summer, you want to sum up a series of values. You can either highlight all the values up to where you want the answer to be, or just highlight the answer cell. The values must be either above or to the left of them now. Then you can click Auto Sum under your Home tab. Okay. In your editing group, you have Auto Sum. The shortcut for Auto Sum is alternate equal. Okay. So this is the first method. I highlight all the cells up to where I want the answer to be, right? Then I click Auto Sum, or I'm going to press alternate equal. The second method is highlight where the answer is supposed to appear, then alternate equal. Okay. You can also do two-way summations. Why do we have someone scribbling? Let's say, okay. Let's look at this example. I need to total up every row and every column, right? So I can highlight all the data up to where I want the answer to be, alternate equal, right? As long as the data is immediately before where you want the answer to appear now. Whether you are doing total for row, total for column, you can apply this. Okay? So here, I'm just going to highlight where I want the answer to appear, alternate equal. Excel's assumption is your data is either on the left or above current cell. Okay? That's auto sum. Majority, more than 99% of the commands in Excel, there is an equivalent command key, the shortcut command. Not possible to learn everything. Okay, now the next formula that we're going to look at, the function is when you need to check for condition before performing a calculation or displaying a number. Like here, I have a table showing the different age range. What is the CPF contribution based on employer, employee, and this is based on Singaporean and PR. So whenever a salary and an age is entered, okay, I want to show the amount that will be deducted. Okay, so this is how we go about writing the formula. We do a equal ifs, open bracket. First, I check whether the age, I have 5 possibilities here. So whether it is less than or equals to 55. Okay. No, the auto sum must, I mean, if you do your data is, calculation is above your data, then when you click auto sum, you have to highlight the data. But if it is immediately below the data or to the right of the data, it will automatically select it for us. Okay. So here, I'm checking the first option, whether it's less than 55. If it's true, the employee contribution is 20%. My first condition. Then you continue. Next, whether age is less than equal to 60. So that will be 16%. Next, whether age is less than equal. Okay, my third range would be 65. Then it's 10.5%. Fourth criteria, whether age is less than equals to 70, then 7%. Okay. And the last part, if the age is greater than 70, then it's going to be 5%. So this part of the formula will tell me what is the employee's contribution rate. So for someone age 58, it is giving us this amount, 16%. If I want to do actual deduction, I have to multiply this by the salary. Right. So ifs is used to check for multiple conditions. previous version of Excel, we have something called nested if. You have to write one if for every condition. So with the introduction of the Office 365 and the newer desktop version, they have created this. Okay. Okay, we're going to look at one more formula, XLOOKUP. Okay. For regular users of Excel, you might be familiar with VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. They say if you say you know Excel, you must know lookup formula. So this XLOOKUP is like a replacement for this default one. Okay. Let's say here I have a table showing the top 10 scam categories in the year 2023. The table contains the amount of money lost, what type of scam, number of cases, the changes from the previous year. So let's say I would search for data based on the scam type. And I'm going to take a sample of loan scam. So based on this information, I want to know amount of money lost for that particular scam, right? XLOOKUP allows you to search for a data in a column of your choice and return data from another column. So here we do an equal XLOOKUP. First of all, what am I trying to search for? I'm looking for this scam, comma. Next, where am I supposed to look for this? I want Excel to look for this here. All my different scams, comma. Once you find the scam, you want the answer from which part? So I want to know amount of money lost. So we call this lookup value. What are you looking for? Lookup range. Where are you supposed to look for it? And return range. From which part are you supposed to extract the answer from them? Okay. And then in case the value is not found, by default, it will return NA. This is one of the error message. Okay. And then I am looking for exactly this particular scam. Right? We need to match by word. So this is called exact match. The other matches are normally for number range. You see, for loan scam, they return 6.1. Let's say if I change to e-commerce scam, then you can see they return this value. Okay? So it looks for this value in a specific range, returns a value from a specific range. Now, in case I type manually, maybe I do typo error, or let's say I type something that is not in the list, this is the error message that we typically get now. Okay. In Excel, whenever there is a value that cannot be found, it will return this error message. If you have a typo error, let's say the formula you type wrongly, right? I forgot the L in my XLOOKUP. When they cannot understand the function or the text, they will return hashtag name. Okay. In the slide that we have provided, we give you a list of all the common errors found in Excel now. Okay, but this is the two common ones. Okay. Looking up value, returning value from a specific range. If you want the return value be of two values. That means you want to combine it. Then you have to use concatenation formulas to do that. Okay. Maybe for some reason you want to combine the year and then compare with the previous year, right? You have to use concatenation formula to do that. You know, for all these things that we are doing, like the data validation, the summation, formatting, just now the filter, there are some organization tips to follow. Right? In Excel, when you have a list, right, they will assume that your first row is a header. First row is your header row. Right? Subsequent rows are records. You can have blank cell, maybe data are not available, but you cannot have an entire row or column that is blank in between. So it must be continuous, right? Right? So this is the data organization tip now, and make sure that every header is unique. All these tips are also included in the slider. Okay, I'm going to take one more question. Sync or transfer data from one tab to another tab. Okay, if you need to combine or create a link, you can select the data that you want to create a link to. Let's say I select this data, do a copy, go to another tab or even another file. You right click where you want to place the data and you choose the option called paste link. Okay. Your source, copy. In the destination, paste link. So whenever you update data in the source, right, let's say I change this to 25th December, in the destination, it will update also. Okay. All right, so with that, we have come to the end of the section. Okay, if your conditional formatting doesn't work for new data, you need to make sure that it is highlighted inclusive now. Like for example, previously when I only did to this part. So you can also copy and paste the formatting to new cells. Okay, the paste link is because I want to create a link. Normal paste, if I update the source, the pasted data will not update. But if I want there to be a link, the question earlier was how to synchronize the data across multiple worksheets. Then you use paste link. Okay, this conditional formatting that we did was just now for the number of vehicle, I want to show the highest three value. So under home conditional formatting, top bottom rule, we use top 10 item. So you can choose how many item you want to rank, 3, and then the formatting that you want. For the number of accidents here, we wanted to show the spread of data from high, low, and mid values. So this one under conditional formatting, we use icon set. You can use any combination of icons. Okay. All right. So I hope so far the 1 hour has been, have given you all a good insight of some of the frequently used features in Excel. Hopefully it will help for those existing users, right? Hopefully it will help to improve the efficiency of how you work with your Excel file, right? Remember, this is just the surface. There's so much more to Excel than this, right? So this is to give you a bit of a teaser, right? So like I said earlier, we have the organization tips, right? How you should treat data, a brief explanation of the sum function, the ifs with examples. So in the slide, you have the examples to look at, the XLOOKUP functions. Okay. Now, and then like I mentioned, there's a list of all the common formula errors. I mentioned 2 in our course. This is for your reference. Now, apart from this, if you are interested in more courses, one of our popular courses, we have digital marketing and IT infrastructures and operation, right? With up to 95% funding. These are courses available. You can take a look at our website. For Excel related courses, right? We have 3 levels. You want to learn in more depth whatever we have covered. We are from essential, intermediate to advanced. We have courses focusing only on formulas and functions. Okay. And we also have courses related to data analysis, which is an important tool nowadays, using Power Query and Power Pivot. Okay. Right, so the information about where to get the slides, the files, and so on will be provided shortly. I take my leave now. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much, Sandra. Okay, we hope you have enjoyed the session. So just let me share some. So do let us know if you have enjoyed the session and if you would like to join more programs similar. So just give me a moment.
I'm going to stop sharing for you.
Okay, so I think we have to fill out the feedback form. So you let us know if you want more similar programs or how you feel about the tonight's session. You can just fill out the feedback form. If you want to see more similar session or more like some of you were requesting like more advanced session, even just fill out the form and let us know. Yeah. So as for the slide, Sandra, like, will it be shared at the in the chat or?
Yes, I will share the link shortly.
Okay. All right. Okay, so will the slides be shared in the chat or like how can our participants get the slides?
I've shared the link in the chat.
Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of the session. Sandra, do you have any last things that you would like to share to our participants before we call it a night?
I hope they found it informative, right? And I mean,
Yeah, I
hope they can
think
build
they
on
find
their
it
Excel
interesting.
skills. Yeah. You fill up the form at the bottom, then you get the access to the link. We have a large group of trainers who are doing the courses in ASK, right? Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, we hope you have enjoyed the session, even though it's a bit short and unable to cover everything, and you still have a lot of questions. So like Sandra mentioned, there's ASK has some other courses, right, which you can check out.
Most of our courses, we provide laptops. If there's any specific course which requires learners to bring their own laptop, it will be mentioned.
Hi, Siva Lingam. All right, so we do have some resources on Excel in our libraries, but unfortunately, we are unable to share some of them because tonight's topic kind of overran a bit. But you do check out our library collection. We have some, just hang on, just give me a moment. We have books like this. Yeah, so Excel pivot table, which you can, if you want to borrow, can just scan the QR code. Yeah, it's an ebook version. So we hope that answers your question. So you can find out more resources in the library as well as our ebook version. All right. Okay, I think we are out of time. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for Sandra and us team. Thank you for sharing with us your experience and your expertise in Excel. So with that, good night everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, bye.